Okay, it's that time of year, everybody. It's time for us to take a look back at the year that was. It's time for us to reflect on the year of our Lord 2023. We're going to look back at some of the best and worst songs, some of the most important musical moments of the year, and just kind of take a moment to reflect. But before we do that, what I want you to think about for a moment, consider this. 2014 was a decade ago. How awful is that? That 2014 was 10 years ago. Isn't that horrifying? Literally feel ancient now. It's horrifying. Again, yet another reminder that the specter of death looms over my shoulder, inching closer and closer every day. We're all one step closer to death. It's true. So with that uplifting news in your mind, I thought we could just go through the year. Let's talk about it. And also, I want to thank NordVPN for sponsoring this video. They're the VPN that I legitimately have been using for years. I think it's a great product, and you can get Nord right now at the link in the description of this video. It helps protect you from hackers and other security threats that want to steal your data and identity. This happened to my business partner from using public Wi-Fi without a VPN, and trust me, it absolutely sucks. It'll also help hide your IP address to protect you from things like DDoS and phishing attacks. And Nord also has threat protection to scan files you download for malware and also warn you about dangerous websites or ads you might see that could potentially give you a virus. And unlike some other providers, they never track or share what you do online, and your traffic is always protected with robust encryption. Like I said, I've been using Nord literally every day for years. I genuinely think it's great. It also comes with a bunch of other apps you might like. It's a pretty great deal. So if you want to check it out, head to nordvpn.com/Finn to get a 2-year plan with 4 months free. And best of all, it is risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/Finn or hit the link in the description. The first thing I want to talk about here for 2023 is the rise of Sleep Token, which, in my opinion, they were the biggest breakthrough band of the year. So you can see here back in January, Loudwire said, "Why is everyone talking about mystery band Sleep Token?" And back then, the band had only around 280,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Since then, they've released the singles Chokehold and Summoning, and that number has grown to over 953,000 monthly listeners, which was already impressive. But let's look now. I'm quite sure that they are way higher than that now. Let's go look here. So now they're at almost 3 million. So think about that. They went like 10x. They went from 280,000 monthly listeners at the beginning of the year to now 2.8 million listeners at the end of the year. That's pretty amazing. I am not a huge fan of their music personally. Like I've said before, I personally would like to see them exercise a little bit more restraint. I would like to see them take these like 6 to 8 minute sort of prog epics and chop them down to like a 3 to 4 minute, like tighter, more focused kind of song personally. But what do I know? These guys have almost 3 million monthly listeners playing what they want to play. So you know what? Fuck me and fuck my opinion. Because Sleep Token is winning, and I'm just some fucking dork streaming on Twitch in the fucking spare bedroom of his house, and nobody cares about me, and everyone loves Sleep Token, so who gives a shit what I think? And so that was sort of the beginning of it. It's like, oh, wow, they're almost 1 million monthly listeners. Wow, how cool. And then they blew up on TikTok. All the baddies were making TikToks with the sort of funky part from the Summoning, such as this one. Now that I think about it, you know, she's kind of got me in the mood. I feel like maybe I should start making sexy TikToks. Yeah. Is she tired? She looks tired. She does look tired. I'd say, Heather, listen, if you need to take a nap or something, totally cool. Like, don't worry about it. If just, you know, go in the back and just hit the hay for like 15, 20 minutes. It's totally cool. We'll cover for you, freshen up, and, you know, come back 100%. She just seems tired. She's like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Oh, I barely slept last night. But this is what happened. All these baddies started making thirst trap videos with this song. And as we all know, women are the true arbiters of what's popular. And that blew Sleep Token up to an even bigger level, to where now, this is from a couple weeks ago, Mike Shinoda is really into Sleep Token. So think about that. In less than a year, they went from this article saying, why is everyone talking about this mysterious band Sleep Token with 280,000 monthly listeners, to now getting props from Mike Shinoda. And they all did it thanks to thirst traps, thanks to the baddies and their thirst traps. So salute to the baddies. You did it. You made Sleep Token popular. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. I think kind of really the only real breakthrough band this year, Bad Omens. Was Bad Omens this year or was that last year? I don't remember. I feel like Bad Omens was last year, but I could be wrong. I think Sleep Token is the real kind of headline story this year. But there were some older bands that came back. Quite a few older bands came back. For example, Blink-182 finally back with Tom. And I've talked about this quite a bit. It's just a fact that Blink without Tom is not Blink. It's Alkaline Trio. I'm sorry. I think the Matt Skiba era of Blink was totally okay, but, just okay. And then they get back with Tom and put out the best shit that they've released in, well over a decade. Didn't even recognize my friends. My friends. Took time, but I admit it. It still hurts even after. And it was pretty damn good. It's not their best album by any means, but it's definitely not their worst album either. And you got to think, for a band that's been around, they started in 92. So this band is 30 years old. So for a 30-year-old band to be this good, I think it's pretty amazing. It's not their best album, but it's still solid. And to me, that's like a huge win in my book. So glad to see them back. And they're on tour right now. They took out Turnstile, which is pretty cool. Really just goes to show, like, sometimes there are people that can't be replaced. And when you think of Tom, he's not the most talented musician in sort of the, classical sense, right? Like, he's not technically a good singer. He's not technically a great guitarist, but it's just not there without him. You know what I mean? You had to have Tom back in the band. It's just, you don't have Blink without Tom. And I think it's cool that pretty much everybody agreed that this is great and everyone thinks it's awesome and they're happy to have him back. It's like, he's a vibe. That's right. It makes you feel good. The band is back together. Happy to see it. So, yeah, that was a feel-good story of the year. And Mark is cancer-free as far as I know it. So that's very exciting too. Happy to see it. The feel-good story of the year. Unfortunately, not all of the old bands coming back went as well as Blink did. Fall Out Boy also came back. I think they took, 5 years off or something like that. It's been a while. And the question is, what are they going to do? Are they going to come back and give us another, From Under the Cork Tree, right? That's what everyone wants to know. The last few albums, I think, were largely kind of disappointing, right? I am a fan of Fall Out Boy. Big fan of Fall Out Boy. I don't know any of them personally, but I feel like we would be friends. It pains me to say this, but We Didn't Start the Fire officially entered cringe territory. I'm sorry, boys. It officially went cringe. This is a cover of the Billy Joel song from like 1990 or something like that, but they updated all the lyrics to reflect current events. No mention of COVID, really? Oh, yeah, it's not good. I'm sorry. I feel like I need to have a new career as a cringe consultant for all these older bands that come back. For example, like the Green Day song where they were complaining about TikTok, this stuff. Here's my advice. Any of you people in legacy bands that are watching this, before you put anything out, before you make a video or anything, just call me. Just hit me in the DMs and just say, hey, Finn, here's what we're thinking about doing. Is this cringe? And I can help you. Cringe consultant should be a real thing. Yeah. So no. Patrick, you can't put Tiger King and Firefest in a song. No, my man. Don't do it. Trump, Firefest, and Tiger King in the same line? No, my friend. Let me talk you off this ledge. I feel like that should be my new career. So if anybody from Fall Out Boy happens to be watching, you know where to find me. Just hit me in the DMs. I will help you avoid cringe next time. Another old band that's back, Your Boys, Your Men, the one and only Creed. And to be honest, I never thought this would happen because, they kind of ended on bad terms. Basically, what happened is Scott was just sort of, an out of control lunatic at his worst, which I think he would agree with. He's written in his book, he had a big problem with alcohol and drugs and stuff. And he was, not the easiest guy to deal with. And so the band just couldn't stay together. I didn't think it would ever happen because they don't really need it to happen. They're all rich. They're doing good without it. But lo and behold, they came back. And what's interesting, Creed has been the biggest punching bag for years and years and years. Like, they got no respect. They were the band that even Nickelback fans, could look down on Creed. I think they were even more of a joke than Nickelback, I think. But what's interesting, if you look at the fan reactions to this, they're not dunking on it. Everyone thinks it's cool. So they announced that they were going to do this cruise and then the Summer of 99 tour. And everyone, me, when I found out Creed was getting back together, can you please recreate this performance exactly? Today is off to a good start since Creed are back together. Here's hoping we'll get some new music for them. This is amazing. It truly is. That lineup is out of bounds. I mean, people are excited about this, They're excited about it. They have this tour that they just announced, the Summer of 99 tour. 3 Doors Down, Daughtry, Switchfoot, Tonic, Big Wreck, and Finger 11. I'll tell you what you're going to find plenty of at this show. Lots of wrist accessories, lots of wallet chains, lots of big chunky rings, lots of leather wrist cuffs. You know what you're going to find there. Typical ex-gatekeepers jumping on the pop culture bandwagon. It does kind of suck, that they put up with so much shit for so long, that everybody just absolutely hated this band for so long, for 20 years, and now suddenly it's cool to like them. Here's what I have to say, people. If you weren't a Creed fan all along, if you weren't a Creed fan in 2012 at the absolute, bottom of their trajectory, you were never a real fan. You don't get to hop on this bandwagon. The rest of us, listen, I made a video about Creed, I think 2 years ago. I've been on this shit for a while. And if you weren't on the Creed bandwagon 10 years ago, you got to get the fuck off now. That's what I think. But I am happy to see them back, and I'm happy to see that people are liking it. And listen, if you were wondering whether Creed is actually cool, listen, Vice themselves said, hear me out. Creed are finally cool. Now, unfortunately, Vice is irrelevant now. Nobody cares what Vice thinks. In fact, if anything, Vice now is sort of like the cringe millennial that still goes to house parties with 19-year-old college kids, and you're kind of like, oh, why is that guy here? I feel like that's Vice. But nonetheless, I think it does tell you something that if even Vice is declaring that Creed is cool, I think that tells you something. Yeah, the one who always tries to make every conversation deep. That's Vice. That is indeed Vice. But anyway, the point is, Creed is back. They're cool. And it's about time I say, justice for Creed. Justice for Creed. Creed has been served, finally getting the respect that they always deserved. That's what I think. So happy to see them back. Another band that came back, which we've already talked about, is Green Day. I think this is fucking good. I think this is damn good. I've heard some people hating on this. I don't get it, man. I think this sounds fucking awesome. I don't think it's as good as Dookie, but I mean, Dookie is one of the best punk albums ever made, so it's kind of unfair to hold it up to Dookie. This is fucking good. This is the best Green Day has sounded in probably 20 years, right? Probably since American Idiot, I think. This is the best shit they've done in 20 years. And it's fucking good. I had low expectations for it because their last few albums, like the Uno Dos Tres albums, were really, really bad. The Broadway stuff, I think, was not good. And it's so rare for a band to come back, after sucking for 10 years, to come back with something good at this age, in this point in their career. Very, very rare. It's fucking good. Sounds fucking great. I think it's awesome. If you don't like it, we're not friends. That's what I have to say. Metallica also came back, which, again, this is a band that has been terrible for a very, 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 very long time. Metallica has been awful. I would say the Black Album is the last good thing that Metallica did, in my opinion. And that came out over 30 years ago. That came out 32 years ago, right? Load and Reload sucked. Saint Anger sucked. Death Magnetic was okay. They've been just kind of crappy for a long time. Somehow they came back with something pretty fucking good. Sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good. I wouldn't necessarily choose to listen to this, but, I've never been really a big Metallica fan in general. But I think objectively, it's pretty damn good. This does not suck. And again, very, very low expectations because Metallica has been making kind of bad music for a very long time. So I was expecting just the most putrid, awful dad rock or more the fucking, I don't know, some blues shit or something. I had just the lowest expectations. And I walked away from this saying, you know what? Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Respect. And I would definitely like to be friends with Metallica. Even Lars. Lars, if you happen to be watching, you are officially invited to my home for some hot chocolate and Netflix. I feel like, I know Lars is a little bougie, but maybe if he feels like hanging out with the poor people someday, he can come over, hang out. I like you, Lars. I like you. As far as the festival side of things, we had some big ones. Sick New World, of course, in Las Vegas, which was billed as the ultimate nu metal festival because, we've got System of a Down, Korn, Deftones, Incubus, Evanescence, Papa Roach, Flyleaf. It's just like the ultimate in 2003, like seventh grader who is gonna end up in a deathcore band in 10 years. This is what everybody in those bands was listening to when they were in seventh grade. Again, it's one of these things where it just kind of came out of nowhere. A lot of people thought it was too good to be true. It wasn't. It happened. Went off without a hitch as far as I can tell. And it was a big event. I mean, this was not just like a nostalgia festival. This was like an actual cultural event. There were a lot of people that went to this. Like, for example, I saw Sniper Wolf made a video going to this. Like, it was a big deal that had, relevance outside of the rock world, which I thought was kind of cool. When We Were Young is the other one here. This year, it was Green Day, Blink-182, Good Charlotte, Offspring, Yellow Card, Sum 41, Simple Plan, New Found Glory. Once again, taking it back to the glory days of 2003. And to me, what all this makes me realize is that we have entered the era of peak millennial nostalgia cash grabs. And listen, respect to the promoters for doing their thing. It's interesting to see that millennials now have become the pay piggies, right? Like when I was a kid, my parents were hippies. So when I was a kid, this is when like Ben and Jerry's started coming out and there were those like Freedom Rock commercials. They would put like these old like 60s protest songs in insurance commercials and stuff. So when I was a kid, the hippies were the pay piggies. They were the, 30 somethings that wanted to relive, their glory days. And so they're cashing in on all the nostalgia about the 60s. And now that all the elder emos are entering their 30s, now they are the pay piggies. And so I expect to see lots more of this. They now have the money to travel to these things. Listen, millennial nostalgia knows no bounds. It's free money. And I should know because how many videos have I made about Limp Bizkit? How many times have I made the same video about Limp Bizkit cashing in on millennial nostalgia? Free money, people. Free money. Don't miss out on it. One that did not go so well was Blue Ridge Rock Festival back in September. To make a long story short, I didn't really follow this super closely, but it ended up being like an actual disaster. You can see here just like mountains of trash everywhere. People had to, wait for hours and hours and hours to get anywhere. Not enough food and water. Well, I don't even want to know what's going on here. The shower. What is in the bottom of this shower? I don't want to know. Fortunately, nobody was hurt or anything like that. It didn't turn into like a Woodstock 99 situation or anything like that, but it was a shit show, literally and figuratively, apparently. Oh no. Tipped over porta potties. Ugh. I feel bad for whoever had to go clean those up. That's not fun. But yeah, Blue Ridge Rock Festival, that was one of the examples of a festival that did not go so well. Some other sad news. Steve Harwell, the singer of Smash Mouth, died of liver failure, which was sad because, you could really see this coming. There'd been a few examples of him having these public freakouts on stage where he like appeared to be obviously wasted and was, yelling weird shit at the crowd. And he just was just always kind of unhinged on Twitter. And it was kind of obvious that things were not well with him. And the last time that he had one of these public freakouts, I made a video about it. People were laughing about it because he went viral on TikTok for like, freaking out at someone. And I made a video basically saying, man, I don't think this is funny. This guy is obviously not well. And I don't think it's funny to laugh at him basically, being in the throes of addiction. And then, lo and behold, a few months later or something, he unfortunately died of liver failure. So really sad to see that. Obviously he had his flaws just like anybody, but 56 is so young, and especially to die of, basically alcoholism at such a young age, really tragic. So rest in peace. Very sad to see that. In lighter news, I think Lil Uzi Vert might be a they, them. So I was going to say your man, Lil Uzi Vert, your person, Lil Uzi Vert, finally dropped their big album, The Pink Tape, featuring the hit song CS, which, as you may or may not know, was a cover of Chop Suey by System of a Down, which personally, I think the original is not the best thing in the world. This makes it 100 times worse. Truly amazing. I'm shocked that anybody signed off on this. What? What was... Ah! Listen to that. Ah!
Wake up! Grab a brush and put a little makeup. I don't think you trust in my world.
This just lets you know that Lil Uzi Vert does not have any real friends. If only he had a cringe consultant. If only he could have just hit me up and he would have been like, hey, bruh, let me play you this song. Should I drop it? And I'd be like, oh, Uzi, no. And I would just say, Uzi, just put your finger on the mouse, just drag that to the trash, and we're just gonna press delete on that. We're just gonna press delete. Everyone in the studio knew this was fucking hot garbage, but they just let him put it out. She's like, oh yeah, it's fire. Yeah. Oh, dude, I love it. So that just tells you, surrounded by yes men. Sad. If only you had a cringe consultant, we could have avoided this. Another cool moment, Knocked Loose played Coachella, and Billie Eilish was standing side stage vibing. We've got the influencers stage diving during Knocked Loose's set at Coachella. This is Billie Eilish vibing to Knocked Loose. There she is, vibing. I can vibe too. Honestly, a big moment for the genre, for the band, but just for the genre as well, to have like, a hardcore band, which I would consider Knocked Loose a hardcore band, even though sonically, they don't sound like Agnostic Front or whatever, but they're definitely from the hardcore scene. A very cool moment, but most important of all when it comes to hardcore, you know what finally dropped? Long-awaited song by Lil Pump, Pump Rock, finally dropped after being leaked for years and years and years. The world waited with bated breath, with anticipation. We said, bruh, Lil Pump, when are you going to drop Pump Rock? And finally, we got our wish. He finally dropped Pump Rock. You! Absolutely God tier.
Pump rock shit! Slit my wristlet! Fuck that bitch! Drop top whips!
As of now, you can divide your life into two parts. Part number one is before you heard Pump Rock. Part number two is after you heard Pump Rock. This is the first day of the rest of your life, people. The rest of your life will be marked by your exposure to Pump Rock. Today is the first day of the rest of your life, and you're welcome. You're welcome for me bringing this into your life and helping you transform into the beautiful butterfly that you always could have been. This changed things, that's right. Thought it was already divided by Cowboy Troy. Oh, good point. Okay. Well, Lil Pump is really just the modern day Cowboy Troy. This should have been on Nick's list. I agree with that. I agree. Nick's list, the Knockies are missing Pump Rock. I agree with that. Lastly, I would say kind of the biggest breakthrough artist, certainly not new, he's been around for a while, but the success of Ronnie Radke and Falling in Reverse, definitely a big story. He's been making music since 2004, 2005, and 20 years into his career, he has his first song on the Billboard Hot 100 with Watch the World Burn, which is a pretty amazing video, huge breakthrough song, and it's really amazing to see somebody have this kind of like a moment this far into their career, to be at their most popular after 20 years. I mean, how often does that happen? It's pretty amazing, especially since he stopped doing a lot of things that, all the rock people hold as sacred. Like he stopped putting out albums. He only does singles now, really just like kind of focuses all his energy on creating big moments around these singles and around these songs, and talking a whole lot of SHIT on Twitter. And it worked. 2023, most definitely Ronnie Radke's year. Shout out to Falling in Reverse and Tyler Smith and everyone else involved with this, because he is absolutely crushing it. He's really kind of turned into, like, I would say probably the biggest star of his generation, right? Selling out arenas 20 years into his career. Very impressive stuff. So that does it for the year of our Lord 2023. Just remember, 2024, it's a new year, and that brings you one step closer to death, everybody. Just remember, when you get up every morning, just remember, I am one day closer to death. Remember that every morning when you get up. That's my wish for you. And that does it for our 2023 year in review. The specter of death looms over my shoulder, inching closer and closer every day.